Louisville 33, Notre Dame 20, and for Fighting Irish Preview and FightingIrishPreview.com, I'm Phil Houck, and that's the final on a night when ND just searched all night long looking for answers and never found any answers. Coming into the game, the Irish were averaging 192 yards on the ground in each game, one of the better numbers in the country. Tonight, 44 yards on the ground. Audric Estime, 10 carries, 20 yards. He was leading the nation in rushing just a couple weeks ago. Also coming in tonight, Sam Hartman. 0 interceptions on the season. Can't say that anymore. Hartman throws 3 interceptions tonight, and he was sacked 5 times. So that offensive line, not only couldn't they find rushing yards, but they didn't do a great job of protecting their quarterback. Post-game, Marcus Freeman pointed the finger solidly at himself, as you got to do after a game like that. And flat out said, though, that our guys were not prepared. That's quite an indictment if you think about it, for a coach to say our guys were not prepared. It was really a blanket statement by him with no qualifications to it at all, particularly when you consider where this team was just 2 weeks ago. With 3 seconds left against Ohio State, Notre Dame was undefeated, looking to beat one of the best teams in the country within an eyelash of doing that. They didn't do that. Ohio State completed that drive, scored right at the end of the ball game, and then so Notre Dame suffers their first loss. And then last week, Notre Dame just pulled one right out of the fire and really struggled most of the night against Duke. Managed to win that game. But tonight it just all came crashing down. So the Irish fall to 5-2, and we know what's coming up next week, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Louisville played a terrific game tonight. All the credit in the world goes to them, and they had a record-setting crowd here in L&M Federal Credit Union Stadium here behind me. Announced at something over 59,000 fans, and that was announced as the largest crowd in Louisville, or in this stadium's history. So a big night in Louisville, a lot of happy fans, no question about that. And they go to 6-0. They were ranked 25th. They'll move up. They're a solid ball team. They outplayed Notre Dame in pretty much every aspect of the game tonight. Key performance by Jawhar Jordan. Notre Dame just didn't have an answer for him. He just a lot of speed. He scored 2 touchdowns, including a back-breaking one that went for 45 yards that put Louisville on top for good in the third quarter. He had 143 yards rushing, a big night by Jawhar Jordan, and also a solid mistake-free game performance by their quarterback, Jack Plummer. Now, the third time was a charm for him. This is third time with his third different team that he's faced Notre Dame in the last 3 years. He finally wins one, and it was pretty convincing. He only was 17 of 24 for 145 yards, but the key thing there is that, unlike Sam Hartman, he didn't throw any interceptions. And again, they raised their record to 6-0. They're a really fine ball club, dominant at every aspect of the game pretty much against Notre Dame tonight. So a tough loss for the Irish tonight. And back home next week, they got to get right back at it. No time to really lick their wounds too much after this one, because they will face a team that will likely be undefeated, another undefeated team, USC. USC is going to be highly ranked. They were playing Arizona State. Probably kicking off a little while ago. I don't have a score from there. They were certainly favored to win that football game. No matter what, they're going to come into Notre Dame Stadium next week undefeated, the men of Troy. And that'll give the Irish a chance to get their season back on track after 2 weeks of really subpar play, when you consider how the Irish played the first 3 weeks and how well they played most of the game against Ohio State. So that's a wrap. Notre Dame loses tonight, 33-20 to Louisville. And for Fighting Irish Preview and FightingIrishPreview.com, I'm Phil Houck, and that's a wrap.